Hey, hit the subscribe button, you drop your truth in the comment below. Tell us which weapon blows your mind the most and why. Get ready for an epic dive into the world and Soviet Special Force and their jaw-dropping gear. We're talking a knife that shoots, grenade launcher that don't make a sound, and pistol that swipes. From shooting knives to silent grenade launchers, the sacred weapon of Soviet Special Forces. It's pitch dark, dead quiet, and a Soviet Special Forces operative sneaking through enemy territory with a knife that they can't fire a bullet. Or imagine a grenade launcher that hits a target without a single sound, leaving the bad guys clueless. The weapon of the Soviet Spetsnaz, their elite special forces, weren't just tools. They were legend, rapid, and mystery. You probably heard wild stories about uranium bullets or mercury-filled knives, but those are more like fairy tales. The real stuff. It's even crazy and totally true. I've always been a sucker for military history, and when I first heard about a knife that I could shoot, I threw, no way, that's straight out of James Bond flick. But it's real. Built in secret Soviet labs for mission where getting caught wasn't an option. In this article, I'm going to walk you through the most incredible silence weapon used by the Spetsnaz, explain how they work and why they were such a big deal. So, the first, the PB pistol, a gun that whispers. Let's kick things off with the PB pistols dreamed up by a brilliant designer named Albert Deryagin at a top secret Soviet lab called TSNI Tochmash. Production kicked off in 1967 and this gun became a total game changer. Some folk think it's just a Makarov pistol, the PM, with a silent slap-down, but that's way off. The PB shares some parts with the PM, like the trigger mechanism and the same ammo, but inside it's a whole different beast. For example, the spring that pull the slide back, it turns inside the grip, connected by a clever lever. That's some next level engineering to keep it up compact. The silence on the PB detachable, stored in the special pocket in the hostel. Without it, the gun shoots loud like any other, but with the silencer on, it's super quiet, well, almost. The slide still make a clanking noise, which a cold gave you away if you're not careful. That's true for most silent weapons too. The PB was so good that they stopped making in the 1989 to switch to a fancier model, the PSS Val. But in 2003 they brought it back and it's still being made today. That's how we it. Building something like PB wasn't cheap. Back in the 1960s, the Soviet Union was pouring ton of money into military tech to keep up with the USA during the Cold War. Experts say development in a single weapon like this could almost millions of rubles. Think tens of millions of dollars in today money. Add in testing the training soldier to use it, and you're talking serious cash. But for the Soviet, it was worth it. The PB led their Spetsnaz pool of sneaky mission that could tip and scales and secret operation. Next, the pistol, the PSS Ball, a pistol that a quitter that a whisper. If the PB was cool, the PSS Ball is straight up mind-blowing. This pistol rolled out in the 1918 doesn't even use a traditional silencer. Instead, the Soviet came up with the wild idea, a special bullet called the SP4, sized at 7.62 by 41.5 mm. Inside the cartridge, there is a piston that pushes the bullet out and traps the gun-powered gases so they don't escape. The bullet itself had a solid steel cylinder with a brass ring. hide it complete inside the cartridge. It's like thumbs it out or sci-fi movie. The downside, the special design make a bullet move slower, only about 200 meters per second compared to 290 for the PB or 315 for the PM. That means you can only aim accurately up to 25 meters with a max range of 50 meters, but the sound, practically nothing. That was perfect for mission where silence was alive all days. Like the PB and the PSS valve shares from the trigger pads with the Makarov. Soul Soldier could learn to use it quickly. The PSS valve shows how the Soviet threw outside the box. Instead of making a bigger silent, they reinvented the bullets itself. It's like if Apple ditched batteries and made iPhones run on air. Genius, but with trade-off. The spare for bullets were expensive to make because of their tricky design. Some estimates say each one cost several times more than a regular bullets. In the 1980s, the Soviet Union was spending about 15% of its GDP on defense, and projects like the PSS valve were part of the massive budget. For elite units like the Spetsnaz, two cost world was the edge gave them. Next, the knife. The NRS-2, a knife that shoots. Now here were the things that really well. The NRS-2, a knife that can fire bullet. That thing looked like a regular combat knife, but a handle had a 60mm barrels that uses the same SP4 bullets as the PSS valve. To shoot, you loaded a bullet cocked with a lever on the handle and press a button on the end. The effective range is 25 meters, and after firing, you have to pull out the spent cartridge by hand using a tool on the knife guard. The guard also has a rail signs, and the handle has a front signs. It's like a Swiss Army knife for spies. The NRS-2 hit the sands in 1986 and still turns heads today. There was an early version, the NRS-1, which used the different barrels, the SP3, but the NRS-2 has a great model. They also made an NR2, which in the same knife but without the shooting part for those who just needed a blade. The NRS-2 a pure Cold War vibes. It's like the Soviets said, why carry gun and knife when you can have both in one? Imagine a Spetsnaz operative taking out a guard with a silent shoot from a knife without anyone noticing. It's not just practical, it's intimidating as heck. What it cost? The NRS-2 was made as small bunches, which made it pricey. Some sources estimate one knife cost thousands of rubles in 1918. Think thousands of dollars today. For the Spetsnaz, to every soldier was an investments, though they spare no expensive. Next, the complex Tishina, a silent grenade launcher. Now take heavy hitters, the Tishina, Russian for silence. A weapon system adapted in 1975 and combined as AKM-SB rifle and PBS one silencer, and silent grenade launcher called the GSN-19. The rifle was pretty much a standard AKM-S, just with a mount for grenade launcher. The PBS-1 silence built in the 1916 worked with a special subsonic bullets, called US rounds, to keep things quiet. The GSN mm launcher fire 30mm grenades nicknamed Lizard. To make the shoot silence, the grenade was pushed out by a piston that trayed the gunpowder gas. Powered by a blank cartridge loaded into a 8-round magazine. This grenade could punch 1000 millimeters of armor with an effective range of 100 to 150 meters. They were designed for sabotage, taking out planes, missile system, or other gear with a small but powerful charge. The Tishina is like an ultimate multi-tool for special forces. A rifle and a silent grenade launcher that's next level. I can just imagine Spetsnaz operatives in Afghanistan using this to wreck enemy gear without making a peep. Building a system like Tishina was a big investment. In the 1970s, the Soviet Union was dumping huge sums into military tech. Experts estimate a single complex could cost 10,000 of rubles, plus more for training, but for covert mission it was a small price to pay. Next, complex, the Kanaryka complex, Tishina cooler sibling. The Kanaryka, Russian for canary, rolled out in 1985, was like Tishina better. It used an AKS-74 UB rifle and PBS-4 silence and the BS-1M grenade launcher. The PBS-4 was a big deal because it let soldier fire burst with 5.45 by 30 19mm round, something early silencer could handle. The launcher used a new grenade, the 7G23, that could punch those 15mm of armor and had a 10-round magazine for blank cartridge. To reduce recoil, the rifle came with a rubber backpack. Both Tishina and Kanaryka saw action in Afghanistan, but by the 1990s they were replaced by newer weapons like the VSS sniper rifle and IS-Val rifle. Still, they left a huge mark on Spetsnaz history. By the 1980s, the Soviet economy was struggling, but they still spent up to 20% on their GDP of defense. According to World Bank data, Kanaryka was a high-cost project, but its limited production keep expense down compared to mass-produced gear. Whipping up the legacy of Spetsnaz weapons. The weapons of Spetsnaz, PB, PSS, Val, and RS-2, Tishina, Kanaryka aren't just tools. They're pieces of history. They show how the Soviets pushed the limit of engineering. They give their elite fighter an edge in the Cold War. These silent killers still capture the imagination of military buffs and inspire modern weapon design. Let's hear from you. If you loved this deep dive into Soviet Spetsnaz gear, subscribe to our channel and leave a comment below. Which weapon would you want to see in action? Got a cool fact about Special Force gear? Share them and let's keep the conversation going. Thank you so much and bye bye.